One of the biggest challenges I faced when I was first starting out is finding clients. I've tried pretty much every strategy you've heard of: cold calling, cold outreach, ads, Upwork, content, everything. Most didn't work for me, but a few have, and in this video I'll share exactly what I would do to find clients as a web designer if I had to start from zero. But first off, why should you even listen to me? Now, I've been in the web design game for about 5 years, and for a long period of the time I was struggling. I barely closed one website deal per month, and as you can see, this is a screenshot from my Stripe account. I have very few deals throughout the months, and they're mostly very low ticket. But at one point last year, something just clicked, and all of a sudden I was getting leads left and right. I was closing a lot more deals for a lot more money. Now, this is a screenshot again from my Stripe account in 2024, and this below is also a screenshot from my Rule.io account. And also I have a lot of invoices I've issued here in Bulgaria that I can't show. And just so you know, to achieve these results, I've not done anything extraordinary. I've not had a viral video. I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. I'm just a regular web designer, and I don't even think I'm that good. And as you'll see in a little, it's very important to focus on a specific kind of designs, but we'll talk about that later. Now, once I found the lead generation methods that clicked for me, things really went up. For the past year, I've been consistently making more than $5K a month, selling $2,000 to $3,000 websites. And now for some of you that might be very little, for others it might be a ton of money. For me personally, I live in Bulgaria, and if you're making this kind of money here, you're pretty much balling. And I'm sure that's the case for a lot of places. Now, that should definitely interest you if you're making less, because I'm simply just a few steps ahead of you. If you're making more, or if you're in a Western country, then this video might not be the best for you, but keep in mind that if you live in the USA, you will simply charge way higher prices than what I can charge here. And another positive is that I can tell you exactly what I've done to get here without any bullshit, because people making 100K per month are so far off that even if you take their advice, it wouldn't be relevant to you. Now, before we get to the actual step-by-step process, we have to cover a very important foundation, because if we don't, nothing will work. I know that because I made that mistake at first. Before we even think about getting clients, we need to make sure we can design good websites. And a good website is very subjective. I mean, what I like might be very different from what you like. But what's important is that we need to be able to design websites that catch the eye of users. You simply need to be able to stand out in the ocean of web designers. And if your designs don't stand out, that makes your job way harder. Now, of course, looks aren't the only thing that matters when it comes to web design, but when it comes to attracting clients, it's pretty much the only thing that matters. That's what gets us in the door, and that's what makes somebody want to get in touch with us. Now, I'm going to give you some examples so you get a better idea of what I mean. Now, these are just some generic examples I've done last year. They're not bad, but they're not anything special. They're great, they're dull, they don't catch the eye, they don't have anything outstanding about them. And if you post these on social media, they won't get any traction. Again, I know that because I did post them and they barely got any views. Now, on the other hand, here's a more recent example of two tweets that went viral for my standards. This first one got 1.7K impressions, second one 6.2K, and it's actually growing as we speak. I'm getting notifications from this tweet, and yeah, it's got around 200 likes. So why did the first design get 0 likes and the second one 200? What is the exact reason? Is it the font? Is it the colors? Honestly, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of, first, the background. The background is very eye-catching. Second, the colors. Third, the layout, it just flows nicely. And finally, the typography simply looks good. So yeah, the layout needs to have a flow, because, for example, if I place the elements in weird position, you see here how much worse it looks. The only other change I've made is I've changed the background from the image to a simple color. And again, finally, the typography. A lot of beginners really underestimate the power of typography, and I'm by no means a master, but I understand the basic principles. So to show you better what I mean, this is how our design would look if I reverted all of the font settings to the defaults. So you see, just by setting the settings to default, how much worse our typography looks. So just like that, our design is 10 times worse. And by the way, if you're a beginner and you're looking to get real good real fast, you can apply for my one-on-one mentorship with the link in the description. I have one more sentence here promoting that, but I will spare it. Now, let's say we have the foundation covered. Let's say you know exactly how to design websites that catch the eye. Now it's time to find clients. From all of the methods you've seen online, there are only two that worked for me. The first one is what I would do at the very beginning, because at this time, you don't have 5 clients breathing down your neck as I do currently, and you don't have thousands of dollars to invest into ads or something else. But the one thing you do have is time, and that's what we need to invest if we want to find clients. So what I would do as soon as I'm ready to find work is cold DMs and cold emails. I'm sure you've already heard this 1,000 times, and I'm sure you've already tried it and barely seen any results. And in fact, that's what I did at first too. I followed the generic cold email advice from YouTube gurus, and surprise, it didn't work. I would send 50 emails per day and get only a few responses, and most of them were telling me to fuck off, as I'm sure you've seen if you've tried sending cold emails like that. But that's not what I would do now if I was starting from zero. What I would do instead is this. First, I would very strategically pick a niche that one I like, that I know I can do good work for, and I maybe have some experience in. Second, I would find a website directory in that niche. Then I would make a list of all of the websites I thought I could build better. Then I would simply make a Google Sheet. In this Google Sheet, basically you're gonna have 3 or 4 columns. First, the business name. Second, the website link. And third, a contact email. And fourth column, the business owner's name. If you can find it maybe on LinkedIn, that would be great. And yeah, if you can find their personal email as well, that will be preferred. And after you have a list of 30 to 40 websites, it's time to get to actual work. Fifth step, what I would do is create a template, which will be our foundation for this campaign. And let's say we're designing websites for wedding photographers. I would simply make a design for the hero section only, make sure it's eye-catching. After that, we can take this template and tweak it for every single potential client we found on our Google Sheet. You can simply take their logo, take their copy, take some of their images, plug it into the template, and you would be ready to start reaching out. So now we have the design done, but what about the email itself? How do we get them to see it? Well, I've got the exact script for you, but I won't read it out. You can just pause and read it. The reason why this email works is because it builds curiosity. We need to get them to be curious enough to click on the Loom video presentation link. Now, another reason why it works is because you provide value upfront. You don't ask for anything. You don't offer your services. You simply share a redesign that you did, and this email will get them interested. But what will make them book a call is not this email, but instead it is how you present the website in the Loom video. I have a few important tips to keep in mind while you present. The first one is to rehearse, because if you don't rehearse, you're gonna pause a lot, you're gonna say a lot. You need to make sure you rehearse it, you know what you're saying, and you're ready to go as soon as you press record. Now, before you start actually talking about the design and presenting it, we need to first explain why a new website will be beneficial to them. Now, don't start off talking about yourself. Don't say we're a web design agency for wedding photographers. Instead, say something like, even though we build websites, we don't just do that. What we do is help wedding photographers win the trust of couples, so they choose you every time. Now, I stole this line from Dean White. You can check out his YouTube channel. He has tons of valuable stuff for web designers. Before I saw this line, I used to use a similar thing, but it just didn't hit as well as this, so I simply stole it because I want to give you guys the best, content possible. Okay, now after we say that we don't just do website, we need to explain to them what the user journey looks like. We need to tell them that their potential clients are also looking at 10 other photographers at the same time. But if their website can help them win the trust of couples, they'll get way more clients, and that's exactly what you will help them do. Now, how you build a website like that wins the trust of people is a whole nother topic we can explore in another video. So after you've set the tone, you can start breaking down the design, you can explain the choices you've made, etc., etc. You can follow this exact script for every lead in your Google Sheet. This strategy will not only give you way more replies than a generic cold email, but they will also mostly be positive, again, because you're leading with value. So, cold email, check. However, we don't want to do cold email forever, and the reason why is as soon as you start getting more work, this will become impossible to keep up. Doing all of this requires a ton of time, so we need to find another way to attract clients. We need something that has more leverage, meaning if we put 1 hour of work into sending cold emails, maybe we can reach 5 people, but if we put 1 hour of work into something else, we could reach thousands of people. So that something is content. You can simply share your work on platforms like Behance, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And if you follow the best practices for each platform, you can build a following that will get you consistent leads. Again, the important thing is to share designs that catch the eye. And in fact, that's exactly how I got my first web design client, through posting on Twitter. And even though I have a very small audience, both here on Twitter and on YouTube, these two channels are still a big source of leads for me. To summarize this tip, to attract clients, you need to put yourself out there. You can simply share what you're working on every day on Twitter and LinkedIn, share your client work, share concept websites, share buttons you designed, cards you designed, pretty much anything that looks good. Now, the best thing about this is that it takes way less time than cold emails and it reaches way more people at once. The bad thing is it usually takes a lot more time to make it work. You're probably thinking, how the fuck does it take at the same time more time and less time? It takes less time per day, but it takes more time in terms of consistency. You have to be consistent for months to see any significant results, and that's why it takes more time to make it work and less time to produce it. So finally, the most important thing is don't give up after only a few weeks of posting. You simply need to post often for at least a few months before you even think about giving up. If you start today but you give up the next week, it will never work. Now we have our first 2 steps covered. It's time for the final one, which is actually the most important one. This step is the exact reason why I keep getting leads consistently, and it's getting referrals. And this happens in only one way. If 1, your websites are actually very good, and 2, if clients like working with you. So once you get a client, please do your absolute best to keep them happy. Reply quick, share daily updates, follow the deadlines you set, and your clients will like you. And if they do like you, they will also refer you to their friends. Like content though, this is also a long-term play. You won't start getting referrals immediately, but down the line, maybe even a year after you deliver the website for a client, you might one day wake up to a referral email from that exact client. So to summarize, design attractive websites, find clients, get referrals. I've given you pretty much everything I would do if I started from zero, and I can guarantee if you follow this, you'll be able to make web design your main source of income in the next 6 to 12 months.